And today we're going to talk about the director. Or you're not going to do it like that, are you? Ah, yes, directing. It is normal for those who have a career in acting to also have a career in directing. I think actors make good directors. And the job of directing, though, is very, very difficult because that was a very slow bleed, but that was pretty cool. Yes, you must interpret the play, create a vision. You got to think big picture. And also you have this thing called the spine of the play, or the unified vision of the dramatic action. That is narrowing the play down to one little moment and understanding the play's history. Speaking of history, write up the rest of that down, but I'm going to go into a little bit of history here. And with directing, the first part of history, in terms of someone who is not necessarily famous for directing, but is down in history as being kind of one of the first directors, we have to look at Sophocles. Now, he's mainly known for writing Oedipus Rex, but he had apparently a very high, squeaky voice that got made fun of a lot. So he's our first historical account of someone stepping into the director role. But there really wasn't anyone who was a director, at least not in the modern sense as we know it. He had these people called actor managers from about 1200 to the 1800s. And yeah, they were more or less a concierge than a stage manager. They mainly looked after the crew and looked after the cast. But it wasn't until George II, Duke of Saxe-Meiningen. And if I ever ask you who the first modern director is, this is it. This is the first modern director, George II, the Duke of Saxe-Meiningen. He is mainly credited with the practice of what's called tableau and focus. Tableau is taking a group of people and forming a picture of an emotional scene, and the focus is within that tableau or within that picture, directing where the focus goes. Because where the focus goes, that's where the audience is going to look. And chances are, if you have a movie or a play that you love very much, chances are the reason why you love it is because of this concept of tableau and focus. A good director will know not just where to put actors and where to direct them, but also where to direct the audience. And if you can remember a lot of pictures, chances are the direction was pretty good. Another person of note is Richard Wagner. Yes, putting the twerk in. Gesamtkunstwerk! You may remember, if I've done this lecture in class, you may remember me shouting that several times. It means total work of art. Wagner, though, was known, if we put his bit of nefarious history aside with the Nazis, he was known for being able to control through music. He could control actors through his baton, and that way he knew that he could get them to do whatever it was that he wanted. Also, George Bernard Shaw can be credited with directing in one sense. The other thing to make note is Wagner and Shaw were not directors in the typical sense. George II was, but Shaw was a playwright. But he realized that actors sometimes would, improvise, or come up with ideas of their own. He loathed that, and so he created these long, complicated stage directions, whereby he could pretty much control how an actor looked and how they acted on stage. I may have also railed a bit against George Bernard Shaw. Historically, his plays are, they need a tip of the hat too, but God, I just don't like him. Anyway, moving on. Del Close, known as the father of modern improv. Del created, in part, a thing called the Herald, which is a long-form improv technique whereby you grab one audience suggestion and then you create a play out of it. Also, I will go to, yes, Augusto Boal. The thing that got cut off there, my dudes, on the keynote there, is the fact that he is known for combining theater and psychology. If you ever have to do a paper on a sociologist or a particular train of thought, he's a good guy to do. Augusto Boal. Actually met him once. Pretty cool dude. And Bogart. So Konstantin Stanislavski, the father of modern acting, writes a book about how actors can create characters, and Bogart comes along and is like, why don't we have one for directors? So she wrote The Director Prepares and is co-creator of what's known as the Viewpoints technique, which of course brings us to the first director to ever win a Tony Award, first female director to ever win a Tony Award, and that is Julie Taymor, specifically for The Lion King. She was also known for directing Spider-Man until she got fired, but that wasn't her fault really at all. But that is a oversimplification of the history of directing. Make sure you write these things down and make sure that you make note of them. Thank you very much and have a great day.